stop me now, they won't stop me now, they won't stop me, no. They won't stop me now, they won't stop me now, they won't stop me, no.
Hello and welcome back to We Are Mighty. It is 2025. Happy New Year. Are you tired of hearing that yet? You'll probably hear it for the rest of the month. At least we're still in the first half, so I think I'm okay in saying Happy New Year still. But I'm tired of hearing it, if I'm honest. How have you been? How was your holiday? We made it, as the saying goes. But honestly, when you're on a grief journey, that phrase means a whole lot more than just, hey, it's a new year, we made it. Because this journey's crazy. The holidays were up and down, emotional, stressful. Of course, we miss so-and-so, or if only they were here, if only we could go back, and we know we can't. So we try to stay positive. But holidays they aren't the same when you're dealing with grief and the depression that comes along with it. But I try my best to stay positive because why not, to be honest? I've always been a happy-go-lucky person. I found the silver lining or the joy or the blessing in anything that happens. And to be honest, I'm having a hard time finding that in this grief journey because, of course, the only thing that I continue to think about is the loss of a loved one, the loss of my son. And I'm sure many people who are on this same journey, that's what they focus on as well, is that loss, the emptiness, the hole that's left behind because that person's no longer with them. But I'm trying my best to find a way to look at it from a positive aspect or take something positive from it. And it's easy when it's a person who has dealt with sickness for a while or who has dealt with even depression for a while, because then they're not dealing with that anymore. They don't have to wake up with the dark cloud, or they don't have to be in pain. When you're thinking about the loss of a healthy, young person who really had no negative cares in the world, it's hard to do that because you feel like they've been taken from you. But you never know what a person dealt with or what a person, had going on in the back of their mind. At this point, the only thing I can think of was that we were blessed in the situation with my son. We were blessed with 24 years of him in our lives, 24 years of happiness, 24 years of goofiness, 24 years of laughter, amazing memories. And that's what I have to take as the positive. Yes, there's always going to be the void of him being gone. But when I think about all of the wonderful times that we had together, that's the positive that I have to take from it, because I don't like being sad all the time. I don't like being depressed. I've actually had people ask me why these episodes are so short. I try to at least get to a half an hour. I think I usually get to 20 to 25 minutes. And the reason for that is, for a lot of people, thinking about grief or thinking about the journey of grief, it's difficult. It's sad. It's dark. And you don't want to stay there for a long time. So I try to at least get in my 25 to 30 minutes of uplifting. There may be a few minutes in there that, I might be down because it's not easy. The whole situation is difficult. No matter what you're grieving, it's difficult. When you think about what it is that is causing you the grief, it's difficult. Again, it could be the loss of a loved one. That's usually what you hear when people talk about grief, but it could be a friendship that's no longer there. Can you imagine someone being a part of your life for 20 years and then being gone? I don't know. That grief may be a little bit harder because they're still around. You just don't have that friendship. You don't have that connection. And you see them. You may see them having that connection with someone else. So it's hard to think about the grief and take yourself to that place where you may seem to be dwelling on it. So I try not to give you too much time of dwelling on that grief, as opposed to just giving you a few minutes of encouragement to pull yourself out of that depression, to pull yourself away from those dark thoughts, to pull yourself away from dwelling on it. And as long as we're talking about it, you're going to be. So I hope you take the words that I give you in these episodes and look back over them once the podcast stops, because that's going to be the time where you can maybe not be so deep into your grief, your loss, the void, the emptiness that the loss has caused. So that's just a explanation as to why, these episodes aren't an hour long, or, now once we get people who we can interview, then they may be a little bit longer because there'll be a back and forth. But as long as it's just me dealing with my grief, I'd rather not be stuck there for more than half an hour, if I am honest. But I can't wait to be able to speak with someone else and maybe see their views or bounce ideas off of them. Right now, I have so many people in my circle who are dealing with different levels of grief, and it's draining to me to see it. And so I know for them, it is just so heartbreaking. In the past month, I've had a friend who lost her mother, another friend who lost her father, and just in the last couple of weeks, I had a friend who actually lost her little girl. I know that the loss of a child is devastating, but I still can't say I know how she feels. I'm trying to be there for her as much as I can, and of course, it's somewhat of a trigger for me. But as I've said before, it's therapeutic for me to be there for other people, to help them to maybe feel better just for a few minutes. It helps me. I think I may have mentioned before how my therapist back in the day told me that was codependent and it was unhealthy. And I never understood that. So it made me feel like, am I supposed to just stay in the depression? Or what's wrong with wanting to help someone else and feeling good about making someone else not feel so bad about a situation that is definitely negative? Now, my current therapist, he agrees with me that it's therapeutic and that it is a positive to be able to take joy in helping someone else. So I'm glad for that. So these little 25 to 30 minute sessions, this is just a session of me being made whole again for a little while. Me seeing a positive, even though I don't see how it affects you, but I know that there's somebody that these episodes reach. And every once in a while, someone does come up to me and say, hey, I saw your podcast. It really helped me. And that warms my heart. I really wanted to talk about just protecting your peace. We're coming into a new year. And the thing for me, starting the new year, the first thing I thought was, this is another year without my baby. And of course, everybody, oh, he's always with you. You know he's there. I know that. And I appreciate the people who try to be uplifting in saying that. Yes, I know he's always with me, but it's not the same. I mean, let's just be honest. It's not the same. Yes, his essence is here. The memories are here. The laughter is here. But my child can't hug me like he used to hug me and crack my back because he was so strong. That doesn't happen anymore. And so I try not to dwell on it, but there are moments where, of course, it comes back. And so we have to intentionally protect our peace. We have to take a moment, think about it, but not be stuck. Not be so deep in it that we are unable to function. And when it's a new journey, that's hard. All you want to think about is your recent loss. All you want to think about is, why did this happen? And we'll never, ever know the answer to that. I can't tell you don't think that, don't question that, because you're going to no matter what. And that's not my place. I just know that it's something that will affect you, that will always affect you, that will pop up out of nowhere. I have literally had days where I am driving or walking or sitting at work, and just out of nowhere, the thought occurs to me, I literally lost my son. I literally will not have a grandchild come from him. I literally will not see him get married. And I guess it wasn't in the plan for me to see those things. I thought it would be. I expected so much. For my friend who lost her daughter, the baby didn't even get to start school. She had the plans. Who would expect to lose a child that soon? So am I selfish? How dare I be upset? I had 24 years with my son. I don't think she made 5. So we don't want to be selfish with our grief. We don't want to be comparing, ours to others. We don't want to feel like, oh, this is worse for me than it is for you, because we don't know. Grief is grief, and everybody deals with it differently. And I know I have resorted to a comical approach lately, not making fun of the fact that my son's gone. I just, I mentioned it in the last podcast. I have been literally roasting grief. Like, how dare you swoop in like you did and take my child? Like, who do you think you are? But everybody deals with it differently. I have to do whatever I have to for my sanity. And if I continue to dwell, I continue to go down that dark hole of depression, of sadness, I will go crazy. And I have probably said that on every single episode. You know why? Because it's the truth. I will go crazy. And I refuse to. I've seen quotes lately saying, hey, that person may be gone, but they would want you to be happy. That person would want you to enjoy life. And I agree with that. So that's what I try to do. Enjoy life. Dealing with the cards I was dealt. Playing that hand, whatever that means. Are there setbacks? There absolutely are. Are there moments where I sink to my lowest? There absolutely are. But I have to pull myself up. So as we start this year, let's try not to dwell on the grief. It's there. It's not going anywhere. There's definitely a place in your heart where that person, that friendship, even maybe that job filled that void. So there's going to be a place of emptiness. Just don't stay there. I look forward to a year of happiness, a year of firsts. I realize that I'm just a month away from having been doing this podcast for a year. I don't know how I've figured out what to talk about for each episode, but there's always something. As long as life goes on, something new is going to come up. Something interesting will happen. Speaking of interesting, there was a day that I missed my son, and I made a post on Facebook saying, exactly what I said today. The new year makes me continually think this is another year without my baby. And literally, maybe 2 hours after I made that post, I got a phone call on my work cell phone. My son's phone number ended with the number 2. The call that I got was the exact same number ending in the number 5. Now, as far as I'm concerned, it's like the number 5 is just an upside down 2. To receive that call within hours of making this post about missing my son, I literally had a moment. And the crazy thing is, this person has called before. I get calls from delivery drivers, and this driver's been there before. I never paid attention to his cell phone number. The fact that it was 1 digit different from my son's, and such a close digit. And my boss said that just means he wants you to know that he cares about you as well, that he's still here with you. And yes, I believe in signs like that. I know some people don't. And whatever helps you. And like I said, for a minute, I had a moment. I had to step into my coworker's office. I was almost hyperventilating. I had tears. I had to calm myself down because the timing was just crazy, because I was just in a moment of mourning and missing my son. And to see that in that moment was just crazy. I know I'm not the only one who deals with signs and signals and things that just make you realize that your loved one isn't completely gone. If you believe in that, take those things and allow them to comfort you, even if just for a moment. Like I said, at first, it just took me by surprise to where I was upset just in seeing it, because for a second, of course, I saw my son's number. And I didn't want to answer the phone at first. Then I had to look closely and see, what the number actually was. But for it to be that close, I'm just like, this is more than just a coincidence. But when he brought a delivery 2 days later, it was that same number. I just never paid attention to it before. So what do you make of something like that? I just take it and turn it to a positive. Things are going to happen that are going to affect you in crazy ways. I now have a coworker whose work phone is an iPhone, and they have that generic iPhone ringtone, which is actually a trigger for me. And they like to let their phone ring 3 or 4 times before they answer it. So I'm constantly hearing it. So I have to get past that trigger. It's usually just that first ring out of nowhere that catches me off guard. And now I just have to, okay, We know who it is. We know, they're going to let the phone ring for a while. Put it in the back of your mind and move forward. There's nothing I can do about it. I have no control over any of that. I think that's a baby step in a positive direction because it doesn't affect me like it used to. So I am protecting my peace, because if it affected me like it used to every time that phone rang, I would be in a panic. I would be shaking. I had to literally download another ringtone to my phone so that I didn't hear it. So it was nowhere near anything that was the generic iPhone ringtones, because I got that call in the middle of the night. It woke me up. So when I hear it, it triggers me. So I'm working towards getting past that. That's probably one of my more recent conquests is getting over that trigger of that phone, because I now hear it 4 and 5 times a day. What do you have to deal with? Is there anything that is a trigger for you that you're trying your best to get past, to get over, to put in the back of your mind? Think about ways to turn it around. Ways to make it where it doesn't affect you as much. And little by little, it won't affect you at all. That's my hope. That's my goal. And that's my prayer. Because that is part of protecting my peace. And you have to figure out what you need to do to protect yours. Believe it or not, I had to just take a moment, because even thinking about some of the triggers has triggered me. But it's important. It's important to have peace. It's important to find a way to encourage yourself. I can't believe just talking about that person's phone ringing, I can hear it again. And I guess it's a setback, because, when you have to, because you're working and you have no choice, you have to suppress it. But here I'm free. I'm able to deal with it. And so maybe I'm not past it like I thought I was. But I'm trying. And I hope this lets you know that even when you feel like you should be in a place or should be removed from a trigger or something hurting you regarding your grief, and you realize that you're not there, that it's okay. That we want so badly to be beyond the sadness and to be beyond the hurt and the triggers. And we know it's never going to go away. There's going to be days when things happen. The little girl who passed away, she was one of my godchildren. And I haven't even had a chance to process that yet, that this baby's gone. We're working on that funeral. It's a lot. Because I'm trying to be there for her mother and be strong for her. Because I know what she's going through. And again, I would never, ever, ever wish this pain on anybody. So I know I'm kind of all over the place right now. Of course, I didn't expect this turn of emotions. But grief is real. The feelings that go along with it is real. And we never know, as you can see, from one moment to the next, how it's going to affect us. So as I have told my friend, we just got to take it a moment at a time. We can't even say a day. Take it a moment at a time and deal with it as it comes. So I'm not going to tell you that this journey will always be easy. I'm not going to tell you that it will always be sad. You'll have your moments, you'll have laughter, and I'm just trying to add more moments of laughter and smiles into mine. Because I'm just tired of being sad. I try to control it as much as I can, but we have no control, right? So I'm not going to hold you because I probably need to shed a few more tears, and I don't want to ugly cry on camera. I'll give you a few tears, but I don't want to all out. You'll never tune in again. Anyway, we are here every other week on Fridays. Everywhere that you listen to podcasts, you may watch us on Spotify and YouTube. And please remember, as always, in everything you do, number 1, be true to yourself. Number 2, be strong. And number 3, be mighty. If you'd like to be a guest, if you'd like to give suggestions of topics to discuss, or if you'd like to just say, hey, Tanya, you doing all right? Hey, Tanya, you need to stop this. Hey, Tanya, whatever. Or just, hey, Tanya. Email us at wearemighty24@gmail.com. Thank you so much for tuning in. I truly appreciate it. And I hope your journey's just a little bit easier. I'll see you next time.
They won't stop me now, they won't stop me now, they won't stop me, no. They won't stop me now, they won't stop me now, they won't stop me, no.